Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Online, where today we're going to be going back to another podcast style thought process video. Yeah, I know some people are getting annoyed with these and going, oh, it's just really easy, lazy content, but you know what? It's me having a conversation with the community. If you guys are going to keep raising really interesting talking points, then I'm going to keep responding to those. And unfortunately, there's not really much in the way of like graphics and footage I can put in the background of this, so I may as well just treat it like a podcast, yak my poor little head off, and you guys can just, if you're watching it, sit and watch me spin a Reaper in GT44. The visuals really aren't important on this one. It's a topic I want to talk about because I've put out a couple of videos recently and I made some what I thought were standard points, but apparently were taken really offhand and overly controversially, to be completely honest. So, in order to address the anger that I managed to completely kick up like a hornet's nest in my own comment section, today we're going to be talking about the relative safety of Nullsec and the concept of a fair fight in EVE, because I think this is an interesting conversation. I think people have massively misinterpreted what I was trying to say, which, to be fair, could be me not explaining it properly. Hence me making this video. So, put the kettle on, make yourself a cup of tea, grab a biscuit, sit down and listen to me talk away about these topics while I spin a Reaper in GT44. So first of all, when I talk about the relative safety of Nullsec, what am I actually talking about there? Because I've had a lot of people go, oh, Nullsec isn't safe, you're talking through your arse cheeks, Benzie, you clearly don't have a clue what you're talking about. Yeah. So, first things first, if you know anything about my channel, you'll know that I live in wormholes, right? Wormholes. If anyone I think is qualified to talk about risky parts of the game, it's someone who lives in wormholes. And I want to address the immediate elephant in the room there for those who don't necessarily know, or some who may know and are immediately screaming at their monitor, oh, but Benzie, you're in a wormhole. You can close your system off. You can just roll the wormholes and then not warp to the newly formed static, and therefore your system is completely safe for however long. For 1 hour until that K162 spawns, and people can come in. Beyond that, in wormholes you have things called seeders. Now, any corporation worth their salt in wormholes who have found a corporation that they think they can get some good fights for are going to take someone with a covert ops equipped ship, usually a exploration frigate or an Astero or something like that, and they're going to log off in that home system. You log off your cheetah or anathema or whatever in a safe spot in your prey target's home system. What this means is that when you log in and all your friends are like, oh, we quite fancy hunting these guys, you log in, you scan down the wormholes and immediately say where those connections are. It gets rid of the safety of wormholes instantly. And they're also ridiculously hard to deal with, because those ships are designed to be fast to move, they can ignore your interdiction nullifiers, they warp straight to the wormhole the second they've scanned it, they jump through it before you can catch them, and they can usually get back through a blockade and out the other side thanks to interdiction nullifiers and decent pilot skills. So, dealing with seeders is really hard, and it means that wormholes are always at least somewhat at risk. You can never truly guarantee that the wormhole you're in doesn't have a seeder waiting to scan down and jump to those wormholes that, I remind you, if you want to have your wormhole system completely shut off, you can't warp to those wormholes. And if you can't warp to those wormholes, you can't have eyes on them to see if a seeder has jumped out and alerted all of his mates early on. You're never 100% safe. Also, remember, wormholes don't have local. We'll come back to that in a moment. So why do I say Nullsec is ridiculously safe? Now, I am generalizing. I will put my hands up and say I'm generalizing. If you live out of, say, Curse or Venal or one of the faction Nullsec areas, yeah, I get that that can actually be really risky because there's no easy control to have over it. There's a lot of backward and forward, a lot of fights that go on in those areas. That, to me, is how Nullsec should be. However, if you're part of, say, Pandemic Horde, or Fraternity, or any of the other big Goon Swarm, any of the other big Alliance Nullsecs, right? Chances are you are ratting, or mining, or whatever, in a system that has maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 systems between it and anything hostile. Now, if I am in one of those outwardly hostile systems, and I want to get to the system that you are ratting in, that is 15 jumps away through, we're just going to say Fraternity. I'm not accusing anyone of anything here. It's a nice, easy name for me to roll off the tongue. If I want to get into Fraternity space and come and hit the ship that you're ratting in, I've got to jump through 15 systems with local active. So the second I jump into a system, my name is on local. And that means I'm on every intel channel that Fraternity or Pandemic Horde or Goonswarm or whoever happen to already have. Brave. You know, I could keep listing Nullsec Alliance names. If I don't mention yours, my apologies. If I mention yours, I'm not actually saying anything about you. It's just a name rather than Nullsec Alliance X, right? Good, we clear on that? Cool, let's keep going. So if I jump into frat space and I want to get to where you are 15 jumps deep, I've got 15 systems of jumping through where people are going to be shouting out in intel channels that I'm there. If I do somehow miraculously actually make it to the system you're in, if you're not a complete moron and somehow a completely AFK just letting your Ishtar's drones do all the work for you, then you'll notice that I pop up on local. You'll notice that my name appears in local, and then you can just go, oh, there's an enemy here, and dock up. Like, the moment I appear through the gate, you have alert that I'm in system, and that gives you plenty of time. Because I would have to choose an anomaly, warp to it and hope that you're in there. Or try and combat probe you down. At which point you're going to be long freaking gone. That is a big difference, say, to someone jumping into a wormhole, immediately dropping probes, and then cloaking up. There's no name in local. If I'm not watching that wormhole, I haven't seen that. And then they can scan me down with relative impunity. Like, the first clue I'm going to have is when anything shows up on D-scan, which means they're within 14.3 AU already. That's a lot less time to get away. Like, if the gate I appear at is 50 AU from you, not only do I not know where you are, but it's going to take a while for me to get to you. Whereas in J-Space, I'm not going to know that you're there until you're 14.3 away from me and uncloaked, right? You don't appear in local. Do you see the difference in risk there? But I also alluded to the fact that I've still got to even get to you in Nullsec. If you are 15 systems deep, I've got 15 systems to travel through where people are watching my movements and probably amassing a PvP defense fleet in order to catch me at a gate somewhere. They know that I'm moving around, they're going to keep an eye on me, follow me, and try and catch me and kill me. So to suggest that Nullsec isn't safe is just, in my opinion, really, really short-sighted. That actually makes it safer than, say, HighSec, where there's so much traffic moving through that if you docked up every time a grey appeared in system, you'd never get anything done. So you do kind of sit out there, and you get caught with trousers down from time to time. Lowsec, definitely more risky than Nullsec. Nullsec, you know that if you see a grey, you can just dock up, and you've got plenty of time to do so. And if it's a fleet, your intel channel is going to have told you that's coming a long, long time before. Like, literally, the only way, in my opinion, to get killed in Nullsec is to be asleep at the wheel. Even if we are in a wormhole with a fleet of ships and we jump out of that wormhole, the second we jump out of the wormhole, you see us in local. You just dock up. You're completely safe. Again, if a fleet arrives in the wormhole that I'm in, I don't know they're there until they're on top of me. Do you see the difference? Nullsec, if you're part of an alliance, is very, very safe unless you're an idiot. And so people getting into the comment sections going, oh, Benzi, you don't know what you're talking about. I live in Nullsec and I lose ships all the time. Okay, if you lose those in PvP engagements where you are doing big defense fleets, fair enough. But if you're losing Isktars because you're sitting AFK in a combat anomaly, it doesn't mean that Nullsec isn't safe. It doesn't mean that Nullsec is dangerous. Come on, brain. It doesn't mean that Nullsec isn't dangerous if you're losing ships. It means that you're a freaking moron who hasn't figured out how local works or how your intel channel works. You're sitting there AFK and then going, oh no, I've lost the ship. It's not quite the flex I think those people are trying to make it out to be, right? So, Nullsec, sorry. If you're deep in Alliance Nullsec, you're completely safe. And yeah, I will give you the additional that if you're in a border system, yeah, skirmishes happen all the time. And you don't have those additional layers of security. I'll give you that. But if you look at an empire, if you look at any of the big Nullsec empires and count how many systems are border systems, quote unquote, that are literally one jump away from enemy territory or neutral territory or whatever, and compare that to how many systems are deeper in, with at least one or more systems of ablative, distance between risk and them, then your safety just gets stronger and stronger the further in you go, and there are more of those systems than there are fringe systems, right? So chances are, if you're in a Nullsec alliance, you've got several systems between you and danger. Therefore, if the danger gets through all of those systems, shows up in local, has been noted about in intel, and you still get caught with your trousers down, that doesn't mean that Nullsec isn't dangerous. It means that you're an absolute moron and need to get better at EVE Online. And yes, I'm saying this aggressively because these people have come into my comment section and throw all kinds of shade, personal attacks and stuff at me, so I'm kind of throwing a little bit back because A, it's funny, B, it's cathartic, and C, it's freaking true. If you are in an Isktar and you get caught with your trousers down after someone has jumped through 10 systems of hostile space and, you know, with intel firing off on all red, they've shown up in local and you still haven't docked up, that's on you. That's all I'm saying there. Nullsec is safe. Absolutely, Nullsec is safe. Now, the second part of this as well is the concept of the fair fight. Because the story that I've told about this is that myself and some other Catskull guys, I think about 14 of us, just over a dozen of us, all in Tech 1 cruisers, decided we wanted to go on a PvP roam. So we jumped out of our wormhole into case space, we activated a filament, and 2 jumps later, we got jumped by a fleet of vessels that was over 100 strong. More than 100 vessels landed on us. At our count, before we were all wiped out, we saw at least 5 dreadnoughts, probably closer to a dozen dreadnoughts. We saw, again, at least half a dozen marauders. There were all kinds of Tech 2, Tech 3 ships in there, a lot of heavy-hitting firepower, and either way, a fleet of over 100 ships in order to take out 14 cruisers, Tech 1 cruisers? Feels like a little bit of overkill. Oh, but Benzie, it's not about having a fair fight. Well, yeah, I don't think anyone in EVE sits there and goes, we're going to come and kick your station, we're bringing these ships, please ensure that you only respond accordingly. No general in history has... Do you think Napoleon sat there and issued out, like, orders to the other side saying, we're bringing this many ships and this many troops, make sure it's a fair fight? No, of course generals are going to use overwhelming firepower. That's how real life works. I fully understand that, right? I fully understand that a fair fight is not a thing, and there's multiple reasons for that. Like, if I'm in a wormhole, for example, with my corporation, and an enemy fleet arrives, and we've seen that they've got 10 ships. They're all Tech 2 cruisers, just as an example. Yes, we will try and match that for a fair fight, because that's what wormholers do. We genuinely do look at the situation and go, well, they're all in Tech 2 ships, they're all in cruisers, we're not going to bring, like, marauders and horde dreadnoughts and things like that. We're going to keep it fairly fun. You know, we want to have a tussle. Station defense, on the other hand, if someone has love-tapped our station and they're coming to try and evict us, yeah, we're going to throw everything we have at them. We're not going to give a crap that, oh, they're all in Tech 2 cruisers. We're going to drop marauders and stuff like that because we're defending our home. There is a difference there, right? There is a big difference there. But that's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for Nullsec to turn around and go, oh, well, they've got 14 Tech 1 cruisers, we should try and bring 14 Tech 1 cruisers. Because if a fleet of 10 Tech 2 cruisers dropped on us, and we've got 17 people online, I'm not going to say to 7 of those people, sorry, you can't join in the fun. Of course they can. It's a game. We want to have fun with our friends. So we're not going to tell people, no, you can't play today. We're going to bring those out, but we try not to upship. If they all arrive in Tech 1 battle cruisers, we're not going to rock up with marauders and Tech 2 and you know, stuff like that. We're just not going to do it, because that feels like upshipping. But if it is... You know, occasionally you'll have more than they will. It's still an unfair fight. Of course it is, but it's fun. I'm not asking that Nullsec does that. I understand that that's a weird, quirky anomaly of the J-Space lifestyle. What I'm saying is, I'm not actually even asking Nullsec for anything. I don't know why I keep saying I'm not asking Nullsec for this, I'm not asking Nullsec for that. I'm not asking Nullsec for anything. What I'm saying is, it is frankly ridiculous to sit there and say that Nullsec is dangerous when you have the capability of dropping a fleet of over 100 ships onto a fleet of Tech 1 cruisers after about 4 minutes. That's not danger, that's not risk. No one in that fleet of 100 strong was ever going to lose any of their vessels, right? And I get that, again, you've got that many people online, you want to bring everyone. Within reason? Like, if you want a fun fight, that's never going to be a fun fight. That is designed to be overwhelming. And it is designed. They want to make you feel bad when they do this. I've spoken to people in the alliances that do this, and they've told me this is exactly why they do it, and it makes sense. I understand. I understand that the entire point is, We've got loads of people out there crabbing who are doing their thing. They don't want to be disturbed. Therefore, when we drop a fleet of 50, 100 ships on you, on your fleet of 10, we're doing that to dishearten you. We're doing that to say, go away and don't come back. We don't want to fight you. So then don't turn around and say Nullsec players want fights. They don't. They actively don't. They want to overwhelmingly defend their territory and demoralize any PvPers from ever coming back, because you go there enough times and you just get the impression, rightly, that I'm never going to get a fair fight out here. Every time I come here, I'm just going to be blasted off the map in seconds. I'm not going to get to shoot anything. It's not worth my time flying out here because it's just not fun. That's the effect they're going for. That shouldn't be controversial. The alliances admit to this themselves. It is done as a tactic to purposefully dissuade PvPers from coming in and trying to disturb their ratters. But then don't tell me that Nullsec isn't safe. Don't tell me that it's not safe, because you've got so many layers built up to protect those ships where you can drop overwhelming force like that in a way that demoralizes people from ever coming. And it works. That's fine. If that's what Nullsec players want to do, that's fine. I'm not here looking for a fair fight. I'm looking for a fun fight. And you're never going to find a fun fight in Nullsec. Because if you're lucky enough to catch one Ishtar and blow it up, one, that guy's been ratting in that thing AFK for the last 3 years and hasn't lost a single ship in that time. This is the one time he's away AFK picking his nose or watching the latest releases on OnlyFans or whatever it is he's doing in that time, rather than watching Intel and local. He's got enough ISK to just buy another one instantly, like without worrying about it, like, oh, boo-hoo. Or if you're one of the few people who's fairly new and you've just lost your first Ishtar, again, kind of sad, too bad, so sad. This is Eve, get over it. Fights in Eve aren't fair, but the reason that we want to kill that one Ishtar is to get a kill mail, to get something, because we know that the second that that fleet arrives, we're not getting anything. The idea of hunting in Nullsec is, if you've got the sort of drive to do it, which most of us don't because we're so tired of it now. The drive is, how many can I kill before I'm just dropped by a fleet that is absolutely ridiculous and I'm obliterated? It kind of becomes a gauntlet run almost. But it's just not fun, so people don't do it. Which means Nullsec is safe, because you don't get the PvP roams, because no one wants to come and roam in your system because they're never going to get an actual fight out of it. Yeah, you can get PvP warfare in Nullsec, my big fleet versus your big fleet, but you kind of know those are coming, and those are usually only on the very fringe border systems. So if you're inside an alliance like space in Nullsec, yeah, you're completely safe, and you're lying to yourself. Not me, you're lying to yourself if you think that Nullsec is risky at that point. Like, to those people saying, oh, Nullsec is really risky, I lose ships all the time. One, that's not the flex you think it is. You're admitting that you're not watching local, that you're not watching intel, and you're just sitting there like a duck waiting to be shot at. You're then also complaining that it's happening when it's your own fault. I challenge those people. Come and join a wormhole corp. Come and live in a wormhole for a week. See how you do. Because I promise you, you're going to lose ships left, right, and center, and you're going to feel like it is the most pointless thing ever. And yeah, we get good ISK in wormholes. We kind of need it because of the risk, right? Nullsec, on the other hand, gets good ISK without any of the risk. That's always kind of been my issue with Nullsec. And I've lived in Nullsec, right? I've done my time with Nullsec corps and alliances. I've lived in, like, Curse for a while. I did a lot. When I first started EVE Online, I started in low sec in Malden Heath. I eventually moved out to Curse, and I did that lifestyle for a little bit. And that was kind of fun. I then joined an alliance. I relocated out to them, and I got bored stupid of how safe it was. No risk. Oh, the enemies are coming. Dock up. Wow. That was it. Swap to a PvP ship, and then we'll drop all of 100 of our PvP ships onto these 5 guys. It's not fun to me. It's really not fun to me. So I left and I went back to Lowsec for a bit and got involved in a few bits and pieces there, before eventually joining Signal Cartel, living the life of an explorer, and then finally coming out and, helping set up Catskull, where I now do PvP, exploration, PvE. You know what I do. You watch my channel, right? And it's the most fun I've ever had, because it's the only part of EVE to me that actually feels like it has proper risk-reward, other than now Faction Warfare, which is why I also enjoy flying in Faction Warfare since the update for Havoc. I just disagree wholeheartedly. If you think that Nullsec is risky, it's not. Yeah, you can lose a ship in Nullsec, you can lose a ship in HighSec, But I'd argue that there's more chance of losing the ship in highsec than there is in nullsec, because you don't have all of those ridiculous layers of support around you. But anyway, those are my points. Anything further I say now is going to be reiterating those or just rambling on these same details. Point is, in my humble opinion, Nullsec is safe. It is really safe. If you're part of Alliance Nullsec, you're pretty safe, and you wouldn't last a day in a wormhole if you think that Alliance Nullsec is at all risky. And beyond that, I'm not looking for fair fights. I'm just trying to look for fun fights. I don't mind someone dropping a fleet of 100 ships onto our fleet of 10. I get why they're doing it. I just don't think that they can then turn around and go, oh, no one ever PvPs us anymore, because that's why. Oh, we're bored of PvP. That's why. Oh, you know, it's risky out here. No, it's not. You're lying. Anyway, folks, my thoughts and opinions, please do let me know yours in the comment section down below. Again, I'm going to add the addendum because apparently it needs repeating. If you're going to be rude and aggressive and you're going to start name calling, don't even bother leaving the comment, because all I'm going to do is delete it, because I'm not giving you a platform to spout aggression and anger and hatred against me. And if you get upset that I've called you a moron because you lost a ship while sitting in an Istar, not watching local or not watching, intel channels, and you got blown up by a fleet that jumped through 10 systems to get to you, and then sat in local for however long trying to find you while you didn't dock up, it's kind of on you. It's really kind of on you. So yeah, don't at me in the comment section about that either. Just do better. Learn to be a better pilot. Actually play the game, would be my argument. Anyway, I'm being a little bit unfair now for comedic value. So on that delightful note, happy sailing and see you in New Eden.